What's up guys, we're here with Psychol0gist with another deck check. We've got the Nova Grapplers, specifically the Stern Blaukruger type of build. This is the build that Psychol0gist has got for us. So we're going to go through it and he's going to explain the choices that he's made. Standard, you know how it is. So yeah, this is your build. Do you just want to go through the basis of, I guess, what it's like, the psychology behind playing Blaukruger, as you would say? That's bad.
Well, I got interested in this when the set 4 previews came out, or even before that. They mentioned the Stern Blaukrugers, and I was more interested in the fact that you could stand Stern Blaukruger when the attack is hit. I like that effect very much so. And a lot of people don't take into account that trigger effects last until the end of turn, including the critical triggers as well. So you can hit swing for at least 2 damage, or even 3 damage even during the turn. Yeah,
it's not uncommon to see this deck kill someone from 2 damage.
Yeah, it's quite strong if you get the hit when they allow it. So basically my trigger build-up is 8 crits, 4 heals, which is standard, and 4 draws.
Yeah, so why have you gone for those 4 draws? A lot of the builds I see run 12 crits just for that increased chance of going off with the Blaukruger. It's a much more Blaukruger-centric trigger lineup, but you've gone for the draws. Is this to kind of counteract losing cards with the Blaukruger?
Yes, it is, and also the fact that there is no... another card that I see a lot of people play with Novas as well is Carrara, Magic Magician Girl Carrara, and I don't include that card in the deck because the Counterblast effect is mainly to go with Stern and no one else, and because of that I like to keep my Counterblast free for Stern rather than anyone else. And the draw is there to counteract 2 things: the lack of cards that you get from
Novas in general.
So it's to bolster that.
Novas, for anyone who's never played it, is a clan where really you have to play with what you get. You're not going to earn any extra advantage. You're not going to get yourselves any cards, so you either have to strip it away from your opponent, attacking reguards, or you have to try and kill them quite quickly. Yeah,
and not only that, it's also really to build it up early on, because it really needs fuel to actually get this off the ground. If you have no cards whatsoever, you pretty much put yourself back on the wall, and you can't really get back from it unless, you know, lucky triggers and whatnot. But so most of the time it's not happening.
So we'll go on to the grade 1s. So you've got your 3 null guards, 3 of your Dancing Wolf, 4 Tough Boys, 4 of your grade 1 Kruger. So I guess the first thing, why have you gone for just the 3 null guards?
3 null guards because I feel 4 clumps up the ratio. It's just a little bit too much, but 2 or even 1 is way too
not enough.
We're not enough to actually survive in the current game status at the moment.
Sure, and I think 3, and you will be the aggressor in most games. You'll be the aggressive deck, so I think 3 is all right. But I think going below 3 would not be a good move. So you got the 4 grade 1s. Obviously, that's a big part of it. Very understandable. You ride the grade 1 over the grade 0. You fetch your grade 2. Tough Boys, I'm guessing this is mainly just for this guy, so you hit 20k?
Not only that, it's also a backup supporter in case I don't get Dancing Wolf. I'll explain later why I have Dancing Wolf at 3 and Tough Boys at 4, but most of the time I would like Dancing Wolf behind my Vanguard at all times.
Because obviously when he stands, he's going to become 10k, and behind a Blaukruger that's 20 or 21 if you've got that grade 2 insult. So yeah, that's really good. I think the only other grade 1s you see people run will be the Oasis Girl. Not a fan of her?
Not really a fan, because as I said, it really shares Counterblast, and I would like to manage my Counterblast as much as I can. I like to manage it on Stern and Stern only, because that, in the end game, that's pretty much what he's meant to do, win games just by himself.
Sure. And you've got the 4 kings, but not running any queens is a grade 1. Is that, once again, go back to really tough boy is going to be better in most situations?
Tough boy will be much better because it's more static. It's more, you can hit for 18k and you can use it, you can support with other grade 2s such as Psychol0gist and Blaukruger for at least 15k and beyond, which is pretty much the magic number for them dropping 10k guards.
As we said before, Novas, you really got to strip away some advantage from your opponent. So he's going to put these 9ks, 11ks, 10ks up to that level where they can really just smash rear guards.
Yes.
18k to smash those 10k interceptors and whatnot. So that's your grade 1 lineup. We'll go to your grade 2s.
Yep.
So this is where I think it gets a bit interesting for me. So you got the 4 kings, 4 of the grade 2 Kruger that you fetch with your grade 1, and as you said before, 3 of those are Psychol0gist. So why have you gone for 4 of the grade 2? A lot of people, as we've seen with our Dark Pally deck checks and stuff like that, is that people don't like to run 4 of them because you can fetch them out. So why have you gone for 4 when typically people only run 2 to 3?
Well, strictly put, the thing is I wanted to aim for consistency. I want to consistently try 75 to 80% of the time aim to get Stern Blaukruger to hit 11k.
Yep.
And most of the time you may not even see the grade 1 on your first turn. So even top decking it is a very low chance. I can't really give the probability, but it's really there just for consistency. I'd rather run 4 than 2 because if you have it in hand, you can just drop it and put it in the grade 3. You still hit that 11k. You don't need the grade 1 really, but the grade 1 helps to get the grade 2. But also, they're just a 5k chump on them.
So with the 11k on the Blaukruger, is that mainly, do you like that for the defensive advantage, or do you really like that mainly because when it stands with the wolf it'll be 21? Because I don't know, what's your thoughts behind it?
I'd rather hit for that magic number 21 at the end, because it forces them to drop more cards from their hand.
Yep.
It really triples their hand, which is what my game is supposed to do. It's really all on the offensive.
Yep. And I guess running 4 of the grade 2 is alright, because if you do get that grade 2 in opening hand and you've got that grade 1, you can, but you don't have the grade 3, you can play a different grade 1 and then use the other grade 1 to pitch an rpgcaster to go fetch a Blaukruger. So I guess that's, and you're still going to be 11k, so that's a good thing.
Also with Psychol0gist, it's obvious at the moment that since I'm running the Blaukruger line, 12k rear guard, 12k rear guard is pretty much invaluable. I mean, putting this behind a tough boy 20k, they have to drop a 10k guard. Enough said.
It's really good, and a lot of people miss that those guys are 12k whenever they attack anything, not just Vanguard. Yeah, really good, especially with that tough boy. I'm all for that. And 3 is a good number because you don't want to be stuck with a 5k guy when you are forced to ride your rpgcaster. Standing that 5k guy is not very good.
Not very good at all.
Alright, so we'll go on to your grade 3s. You've got 4 of the Blaukruger, 4 of the rpgcaster, which is, I'd say, pretty uncommon. A lot of people prefer to run those 3 or 4 Blaukrugers and 1 or 2 rpgcasters, and then fill up the rest of the slots with those great rearguard grade 3s that Novas have. Your Genocide Jokers, your Death Metals, your Armor Fairy, and the new one, which is Miss Splendor. Why have you gone for all these Vanguard effects and no rearguard effects?
It's really because I just want it for just sheer power and nothing else. That's really, the deck is all about sheer overwhelming of their rearguards and their Vanguard. And really put, nothing's better than power. And nothing rules without power, really. And you want to make them either drop their cards or take the damage, doesn't it? doesn't matter how, just drop. Just choose one or the other.
I mean, my main criticisms of the Ashura Kaiser in this build is that if you are forced to ride it, realistically, if you do check a grade 3 and stand something, there's not a lot of good targets. Realistically, the king is your best target because your Eisenkugel is going to be very small, and 9k isn't really a great stand target, especially if you're forced to run that Ashura Kaiser, you're going to have to put something sideways before you attack with the Ashura Kaiser.
Yep.
So you're going to have less targets for your crits and draws, and you don't have those stands. So I don't know, have you found that to be the case sometimes, or do you really, is it very consistent getting your grade 3 Kruger out?
It's usually consistent. It's either I get the whole chain going out, or I'll have at least the grade 2 and the grade 3 in my hand.
Yep.
If I'm forced to actually use the grade 3 Ashura Kaiser instead, it really changes up my game, but it doesn't really affect it in the long run, as long as I have grade 2 usually on the soul.
Yep. Have you been experimenting with any of the other grade 3s?
I have been experimenting with Miss Splendor, although I find it a little bit lackluster in the current game, because a lot of people like to guard from hand instead of intercepting.
Yeah, and those 10k interceptors aren't really popular. They're not super popular. Some people will run a couple, but yeah, it's not hyper popular. And then obviously we haven't touched it, but you have got that grade 3 Blaukruger at 4. It's pretty self-explanatory. Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll just go through a couple of the main differences in the Nationals deck that we saw win our Nationals. It was running Blaukruger as well, but it was not similar. In fact, the decks are so different, I basically call them different decks because the only similarities were really that Kruger. So what we saw was a much more varied grade 3 lineup. So we were seeing Blaukrugers and Armor Fairies and Ashura Kaisers. It was a lot not as focused in the crit area. It actually only ran 4 crits and was running stands as well. And I don't think it was running too many Eisenkugels, but it was also running NGM prototypes and stuff like that. So I think with that deck, it's a different kind of mindset, because a lot of people have it in their heads that basically if this thing hits you, you're going to die, and that's the case most of the time. If you do crit, it's pretty much game over. But with that type of deck, it's a lot more varied threats.
Yep.
And you can do a lot more with those stand triggers, but most people will null guard the Vanguard, so it takes advantage of that in playing those stand triggers and other more varied grade 2s. So I think it's a completely different deck, but have you had a chance to look at that deck list?
I haven't exactly looked at it in great detail, but I had a brief analysis over it.
Yep.
What surprises me is not really the Vanguard in that certain deck that kills you. It's more the rear guards that hurt you a lot more, which, truth be told, is a lot more. It's quite effective as well. But I've tried to put a theory to deck building this with Death Army ladies and Death Army guys, and with stands as well. Because before this, I was running gold Rutiles, and with that, it was focused on rear guard attacking a lot more, which is basically the same sort of aspect as that deck. But I think it's I believe you said this to me privately, that it was more of a tactical game with hitting rear guards instead of the Vanguard doing the exact actual damage, because realistically, it's quite an effective deck, but it's also reliant as well on getting those stand triggers and getting that effect to pull out in the long run.
But it was masterfully played on the day. Zach, if you're watching, well done. I know it's a bit late and we've already said it to you plenty of times, but well played on the day. Yeah, and looking forward to the next big tournament coming up in January, see how you go there. Well, that's been Psychol0gist deck check with those Blaukruger Novas. If you've got any thoughts on it, feel free feel free to post a comment below. Maybe you've got another Nova deck that you really like. You think it's you've got another Nova deck that you like and you think it's better than this one. Feel free to post a video comment. Video response.
Subscribe and help and like, and we'll see you next time.
Do all that stuff.